Archangel Michael says, "There are words spoken about you that were not meant to reach your ears, but heaven made sure you would know." Your picture was shown, and the reactions that followed carried more truth than you have ever been told in your face. Some of these voices carried admiration, others carried jealousy, and one voice carried a secret that will change how you see everything. The moment your image appeared, it was not just a reflection of your smile, it was a mirror of your soul. People looked beyond the surface, and some could not hide what their spirit truly felt about you. And now, what they said is being delivered to you, because destiny has decided you must hear it. In the room where your picture was passed around, silence fell first, and then whispers grew into waves. Some friends smiled with warmth, others narrowed their eyes with envy, and a few gasped as if they had seen a light too bright for their eyes. What was spoken next will shock you, because their words carried weight from the unseen world. There was someone who looked at your picture and could not breathe for a moment. They saw in you a reflection of what they lost and what they still wish they had. And that single confession, though whispered softly, was heard by the heavens and sent here for you to know. Type Amen to get blessing 333. Another voice said your beauty was not just outward, but it carried something unexplainable. They said when they saw your picture, they felt peace and discomfort at the same time, as if your presence exposed the truth inside them. That is why some of them could not handle looking at you for too long. There was laughter from one corner, but it was not the laughter of joy. It was a laugh that tried to cover fear, because the person behind it knew your destiny outshines theirs. They tried to hide it, but your picture spoke louder than their pretended smile. A close one, someone you trust, leaned back after seeing your image and muttered words no one else caught. Those words were not of hate, but of hidden guilt, because they knew they had betrayed you, and your picture reminded them of their mistake. And now, that guilt has been uncovered. Not everyone's voice was against you, chosen one. There was someone who defended you even when they didn't know you could hear. They said your name with respect, they saw your worth, and they declared in front of others that you carry a light that can't be dimmed. Type Amen to get blessing 444. One of them, who has always claimed to be your friend, looked longest at your photo. But the thoughts in their eyes betrayed them, because inside, they envy every blessing you receive. They don't say it out loud, but their silence is the loudest betrayal. Your picture exposed not only your presence but also their hearts. Some hearts rejoiced, some hearts burned, and some hearts trembled because they knew they could not stand against your destiny. Heaven saw it all, and now you are being told. There was someone who whispered that your picture carried the aura of someone chosen. They said it without even knowing why, but they felt it. Their words revealed that even those who don't believe in destiny could not deny the power you hold. But here is what will truly shock you. Someone looked at your picture and said you don't belong where you are now. They said you are meant for greater places, and that soon, you will be taken from where you stand today and placed into a life far beyond what you imagined. Type Amen to get blessing 555. Someone in that group could not look away when your picture was placed before them. Their lips trembled as they whispered that you remind them of someone who once saved their life. That connection is not an accident, because your spirit carries a mark that others recognize even if you don't see it yet. Another voice, sharp and cold, said you were dangerous, not because you've done harm, but because you carry a power that unsettles people who are not ready for it. They fear what you could become, and so they speak against you to protect their fragile pride. What they don't know is that every word of theirs only makes your destiny stronger. Someone close, who pretends to love you, flinched when your photo appeared. They quickly forced a smile, but inside, their thoughts ran wild with plans to hold you back. This was the moment their mask cracked, and heaven wants you to see the truth before it's too late. But while some hearts burned with envy, one heart overflowed with longing. They saw your face and admitted to themselves, quietly, that you are the person they have always searched for. That soul is tied to you, and even though they hide it, destiny keeps pulling them toward you. Type Amen to get blessing 666. They said your smile could disarm the darkest soul. One of them confessed that when they saw your picture, they felt as if their entire life had been judged in an instant. It wasn't your fault, it was the light in you that revealed the shadows in them. There was someone who could not keep their eyes off the picture, as if mesmerized. They leaned forward, whispering that they had never seen someone radiate such quiet strength. That person was not lying, their words were pure, and they carry a secret desire to stand beside you. Another one, however, muttered words meant to wound. They said your success was not deserved, that everything you have should belong to them. Yet deep inside, they knew their jealousy came from recognizing that you have something heaven sent, something they can never take. And then, from the back of the room, someone unexpected spoke. They said you don't even realize who you are yet, but your picture revealed a destiny written long before you were born. Their voice shook as they said it, because even they were shocked by the vision your presence unlocked in them. Type Amen to get blessing 777. Archangel Michael says, there are truths people will never speak to your face, but heaven makes sure you know. Your picture did not just expose your image, it exposed their hearts, their secrets, and their hidden fears. And this moment is proof that you are more powerful than you've ever believed. The one who once betrayed you saw your picture and couldn't hide their guilt. Their eyes dropped, and they looked away, knowing the past cannot stay buried forever. They felt exposed, because your face reminded them of what they tried to erase. Someone in the group felt their hands shake when they saw your image. They recognized you as the one their dreams warned them about, the one they were destined to meet. Their silence spoke more than their words, because inside they knew a bond had already been written. Another voice, full of malice, laughed cruelly and said you will never know how they truly feel. But that laughter was a cover for fear, because they realize your destiny will rise higher than their reach. They are afraid of the day when your name will be celebrated, and theirs forgotten. Type Amen to get blessing 888. When your picture moved from one hand to another, the atmosphere shifted. Some smiled with joy, others stiffened with unease, and one person whispered that your spirit was too pure to be in the circle you're in now. That statement was not just opinion, it was prophecy. Someone remembered a moment you don't even know about. They looked at your picture and confessed that once, when you were not around, your kindness had saved them from despair. They never told you, but your face brought it all rushing back. Another one sat silently, their eyes cold, their mind calculating. They saw not just you, but what you could become, and they felt threatened by your future. That person is the one you must be careful of, for their silence carries hidden danger. And then came the one who surprised everyone. They looked at your photo and wept, saying that they had prayed for someone like you to enter their life. Their tears were not weakness, they were proof that destiny had finally touched them through you. Type Amen to get blessing 999. Your picture was passed into another pair of hands, and suddenly the air grew heavy. That person whispered that you were not ordinary, that your eyes carried something that could not be explained by words. They said you looked like someone marked by destiny, chosen for something beyond this world. Another one leaned closer, staring at the photo with a trembling smile. They said your presence made them feel safe, even though you weren't in the room. That statement revealed how deeply your spirit already protects people without you even knowing it. But from the corner, someone muttered with bitterness. They said your smile was too perfect, too untouched, and that no one could ever truly be that pure. Their words were poisoned with envy, for they could not bear the light you carry naturally. And then came the silence that broke everyone's thoughts. Someone who had been quiet for so long spoke up, saying your picture reminded them of a promise they once made and failed to keep. The weight of their confession hung in the room, shocking everyone who heard it. Type Amen to get blessing 1111. Archangel Michael says, your picture did not just reveal who you are, it revealed who they are. Some could not hide their jealousy, others could not hide their admiration, and a few could not hide their guilt. This was no accident, this was heaven pulling the truth out of their souls. One of them saw your image and whispered that you carry a crown unseen by human eyes. They said it as though something inside them recognized the authority you hold. That crown was placed by God Himself, and no one can remove it. Another person's heart raced as they stared at your photo. They realized in that moment that you are the one meant to bring change into their life. Their silence afterwards wasn't rejection, it was fear of the responsibility that comes with knowing you. But not all reactions were good. One of them clenched their jaw and turned away quickly, muttering that you would never rise above them. Their denial was loud, but their spirit already knew the truth: your rise is unstoppable. Type Amen to get blessing 1212. Your picture reached the hands of someone who has always claimed to love you. Their smile faded for just a second, exposing the mask they wear so carefully. What they thought was hidden has now been revealed. Deep down, they resent your strength. Someone else, however, could not stop their tears. They said your picture reminded them of the angel that once visited them in a dream. They felt as though heaven was speaking through your face, reminding them they are not alone. One of your so-called friends gave a mocking laugh, but their eyes betrayed them. In their heart, they know they can never compete with you, no matter how hard they try. Their laugh was only a shield, because your presence exposes their emptiness. Then came a voice, calm and steady, saying you were destined for places higher than the ones you walk in now. They said your picture carried the weight of royalty, as if you were born to sit in places of honor. Everyone who heard it fell into silence, because they knew it was true. Type Amen to get blessing 1313. The atmosphere shifted again when one person leaned forward and said something no one expected. They said that when they looked at your picture, they felt judgment over their own life. It wasn't you judging them, it was the purity of your soul reflecting what they had done wrong. Someone else whispered that your smile looked like healing. They admitted that just seeing your photo calmed their mind and softened their pain. They didn't understand it, but that was the power heaven placed inside you. But not all hearts could celebrate that. Another one rolled their eyes, muttering that you think you're better than others. Their bitterness showed not because of your flaws, but because your light exposed their darkness. And then came a voice trembling with awe. They said your picture didn't just look human, it looked like a sign. They said the angels must walk with you, because no ordinary person could carry such presence. Type Amen to get blessing 1414. Another pair of eyes landed on your picture, and they froze. They whispered that they saw more than just an image, they saw a destiny unfolding. Their words carried fear, because they realized nothing could stop what was written for you. Someone else clenched their fists under the table. They didn't speak much, but their silence screamed louder than words. They knew your presence alone threatened the fragile empire they had built on lies. One of them spoke boldly, saying your face reminded them of purity they had long lost. They admitted you carried something untouched by the world, something they could never buy or fake. That confession was unexpected, but it came from a place of undeniable truth. And then came the one who had always watched you from the shadows. They said your picture had haunted them in dreams before they ever saw it in reality. Their voice trembled, because they realized destiny had tied their path to yours. Type Amen to get blessing 1515. There was a hush in the room as your image passed on. Some hearts grew heavier, others lighter, but none remained unchanged. Your picture became more than a photo. It became a mirror of their souls. Someone who once rejected you gasped quietly. They remembered every word they said to push you away, and now they saw what they had lost. Regret burned in their chest as they admitted silently that you were the one they should never have let go. But another voice, dripping with jealousy, tried to turn admiration into mockery. They laughed, saying your beauty was overrated and your spirit overrated too. Yet even as they spoke, their shaking hands betrayed the lie. And then someone stood up, declaring that you were not just blessed, you were untouchable. They said no matter what anyone thought or plotted, your destiny was already protected. Their words struck silence into the ones who wished you harm. Type Amen to get blessing 1616. Archangel Michael says, Heaven is watching every word spoken about you. The whispers, the lies, the praises, and the secret confessions are all recorded. None of it escapes the ears of heaven, and now you are hearing what was hidden. One person who once doubted you finally broke down. They said your picture proved you were not ordinary, that there was something divine resting on your life. Their tears revealed the truth, they could no longer deny who you are. Another pair of lips twisted into a sneer. They muttered that you don't deserve the attention you receive, but deep inside, they knew it was jealousy speaking. They see your light, and it blinds them. Then, the most shocking voice rose in the room. Someone said they felt you were destined to lead, destined to be placed before nations. Their words shook the hearts of those listening, because it sounded less like opinion and more like prophecy. Type Amen to get blessing 1717. Your picture reached someone who has always been quiet in your presence. But this time, they couldn't stay silent. They admitted that they dream of standing by your side, even though they never dared say it before. Someone else sighed heavily. They said your picture reminded them of the peace they've been searching for their whole life. It was as though, for the first time, they saw hope made visible. Yet not everyone could handle it. Another one scoffed, saying your image was nothing special. But the moment they turned their eyes away, their chest burned with the truth they were trying to deny. And then, someone whispered words that silenced every other voice. They said your picture carried not just beauty, not just power, but destiny. They declared that heaven itself has marked you, and no one can erase that mark. Type Amen to get blessing 1818. Someone at the table could not sit still after seeing your picture. Their legs shook nervously, their hand trembled, because deep inside they knew your presence would one day expose them. That fear came from secrets they thought would stay hidden forever. Another voice, softer than the rest, whispered that you looked like hope. They said just the sight of your picture made them believe again in miracles. Their confession carried sincerity, and it pierced through the envy in the room. But jealousy could not stay silent for long. Someone muttered that people only admire you because they don't know the real you. Yet heaven knew the truth, it was not pretense but your light that unsettled their darkness. Then came the most unsettling moment of all. Someone who rarely speaks looked at your picture and said you are a sign, a warning, and a blessing all at once. Their words made the atmosphere shift, as if heaven itself agreed. Type Amen to get blessing 1919. Your picture passed into the hands of another, and suddenly they laughed nervously. They said you reminded them of someone who once confronted their lies. That nervous laugh revealed the guilt they carried, because they feared you would do the same. Someone else leaned forward, staring at the photo for too long. They whispered that they had seen your face in a vision before, long before this day. The realization shook them, because they understood destiny had already chosen you. Another pair of lips smirked, but their eyes betrayed a storm. They tried to belittle your presence, claiming it was nothing, but their soul trembled with envy. They couldn't bear that you shine without trying. And then someone broke down completely. They said your picture reminded them of the promise they made to never hurt you again. Their tears revealed the weight of regret that has haunted them every day. Type Amen to get blessing 2020. Archangel Michael says, your face is more than flesh and bone, it is a vessel of light. Every reaction to your picture was not about appearance, but about destiny. Those who love you felt peace, those who envy you felt exposed, and those who betrayed you felt guilt. Someone spoke boldly, saying you were born for greatness. They said your picture carried the aura of leadership, the kind that cannot be taught. Their voice shook, because they realized they were declaring a truth even they had resisted. Another one scoffed, saying your blessings were too much for one person. But their bitterness revealed what they truly felt, that you carry what they have prayed for but never received. Your picture was a reminder of what heaven gave you and withheld from them. Then came a voice heavy with admiration. They said you looked like someone who had walked through fire and still came out glowing. That truth stunned the room, because everyone knew your journey has not been easy, yet your spirit shines. Type Amen to get blessing 2121. Someone tried to dismiss the moment, waving their hand carelessly. But their eyes kept returning to your photo, unable to look away for long. Their actions betrayed them, showing that they could not deny what they felt. Another voice said you looked untouchable. They said your picture gave off the energy of someone protected by unseen forces. Their words made others shift uncomfortably, because they too felt it but were afraid to admit it. One of them clenched their jaw, muttering that you would never surpass them. But heaven smiled, because even their denial was proof that they already knew you would rise higher. Their bitterness was an admission of defeat before the battle even began. And then someone whispered something shocking. They said your picture didn't just capture you, it revealed what is coming. They claimed they saw in your eyes a future event that would change everything for everyone. Someone else took your picture into their hands, but they didn't say anything at first. Their silence stretched, their eyes studying every detail, as though searching for something they had once lost. And then, with a trembling voice, they whispered that your face reminded them of a divine promise. The atmosphere grew tense again when another voice cut through. They mocked your picture, saying you think too highly of yourself. But everyone knew the truth, their mockery was nothing more than a shield for their jealousy. One person in that room could barely keep themselves composed. They said that when they looked into your picture, it felt like you were staring back into their soul. That uneasy feeling made them squirm, because your presence reached deeper than they were ready to admit. And then came a statement so shocking that the entire group went still. Someone confessed that seeing your photo reminded them of unfinished business, a truth they had buried for years. Your picture had become a key, unlocking what they thought would never come to light again. Type Amen to get blessing 2323. Archangel Michael says, nothing hidden will stay hidden when it comes to you. Your picture is not just an image, it is a prophecy, a revelation, and a mirror of destiny. And that is why the reactions were so divided, because not every heart can handle the truth you carry. Someone's eyes filled with anger as they saw your face. They muttered under their breath that you didn't deserve to be where you are today. But deep inside, they knew you fought battles they could never survive. Another voice cracked with emotion, admitting they had prayed for someone like you. They said your picture reminded them of the answers they were still waiting for. And just by looking at you, they felt their faith ignite again. Yet there was one who remained still, their eyes narrowed with calculation. They didn't speak immediately, but when they did, they said your picture represented both danger and deliverance. Their words carried weight, because they were spoken with the authority of someone who saw more than the surface. Type Amen to get blessing 2424. Someone else broke down in tears the moment they saw your image. They said your picture carried the spirit of someone they lost long ago. It was as though seeing you reminded them of a soul that once gave them comfort. A sharp voice rose quickly after, trying to cover the moment with sarcasm. They laughed, saying people exaggerate when it comes to you. But their laughter rang hollow, because deep down they too were moved, and they hated admitting it. Someone whispered quietly that they saw strength in your face. They said it looked like you had been through storms but never sank. That comment pierced the atmosphere, because it revealed the resilience that has always been hidden inside you. And then a bold declaration came forth. Someone said your picture was not ordinary, it was sacred. They said it was almost as if angels stood with you when the image was captured. Type Amen to get blessing 2525. The person who had tried to hide their jealousy could no longer remain silent. They muttered that your picture was dangerous because it exposed their weaknesses. Their words revealed more about themselves than about you. Another person leaned in closer, holding the photo carefully in their hands. They whispered that your image carried healing energy, as though just looking at it washed away their pain. Their confession sent chills through the room. But not everyone could celebrate that. Someone scoffed and said people were being dramatic. Yet even as they spoke, their hands trembled, betraying the fear they tried to cover. Then one voice, steady and unshaken, said you were chosen long before this moment. They said your picture was simply proof of what heaven had already decided. No one dared argue, because the truth could not be denied. Type Amen to get blessing 2626. Your picture moved into the hands of someone who had once betrayed you. They forced a smile, but their heart raced with guilt. For them, seeing your face was a reminder that their betrayal had not gone unnoticed. Another person shifted uncomfortably, their eyes darting around the room. They whispered that your face looked too much like destiny, too much like prophecy. It made them afraid, because they knew they could not stand in your way for long. Someone else admitted quietly that they saw beauty beyond the physical. They said your picture glowed with an aura they couldn't explain. Even the ones who doubted felt that truth, though they tried to dismiss it. And then a shocking voice declared that you were not just human, you were a sign. They said your picture was proof that heaven walks among men. That statement stunned even those who didn't believe in destiny. Type Amen to get blessing 2727.